All right, joining us to talk some NFL, as he always does at 10:15 or 10:17. My apologies to Danny Kelly. It's the Danny Kelly Show, and the Danny Kelly Show where we talk all things football. By the way, brought to you by Georgetown Brewery, georgetownbeer.com. Go check out the new Tavern Beer, an easy drinking domestic style lager. Now, Danny can't have a beer yet. It's 10:17 in the morning, but he's also back. You could. It's America. You can do whatever you want.
Right.
He's back from the dentist. Are we okay? No cavities?
Good to go. I'm good to go.
Do you like the dentist?
I don't mind the dentist. I think it's like obviously not the greatest feeling ever when they got like the ultrasonic thing going on like your gum line. That's not my favorite of all time. But I do like the feeling afterwards of being clean. It's kind of like a workout. You know what I mean? Like
I don't know what you're talking about, Danny.
Well, in theory, like if you ever were to work out,
yes.
it's not super fun during the workout, but afterwards you feel good. It's got like a little.
I despise the dentist, Danny. I hate the dentist. I don't like going. In fact, I think I was supposed to go yesterday. I ignored the appointment and just didn't go.
All right.
I hate it. I don't like the scraping, the sound of it, the pain, and then just all of it.
That's all fair. That's all fair.
Now, the assistants I like. Is there a code for dental assistants? We just hire girls that maybe used to work at Joey's or Hooters. Is there some type of requirement for that?
I don't know. Probably not. I think if it helps you get in, though, to the dentist, then maybe that's a good thing.
How was your dental assistant today?
Oh, great.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, there is a protocol of how they hire. So, yeah, good for them. All right, you're all cleaned up. Hey, Danny.
Yep.
Danny,
what's up?
57.7 million people watched the Chiefs and Bills. Highest rated game since championship game, I believe, since 1988. You know what I come away with? People like football. People like the Chiefs and Bills.
They sure seem to. Remember when there was like this dying sport narrative? The NFL was dying. Yeah. I feel like, I picked a good sport to be the most interested in when I'm doing my career here, because I feel like there's a lot of staying power with this NFL. This NFL is really starting to catch on. People seem to like fantasy. People seem to like betting.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good about that in particular in terms of like choosing this career.
Can we just during this run, can Goodell make a rule where that's just the Super Bowl and we can move on?
That last
Bills
game?
and Chiefs. I just want Bills and Chiefs to be the Super Bowl.
Sure. Yeah, why not?
I mean, it's unbelievable. Every game is a great game between them.
I know.
It never disappoints.
It's the fourth game in a row that Mahomes has won over Allen in the playoffs.
That was poor Bills.
Dude.
They just, that 4 times in a row, 4 Super Bowls in a row. God.
Oh my God. It's tough out here. I would much rather lose 4 playoff games in a row, obviously, than 4 Super Bowls in a row. I know some people are like, oh, it's good to just get to the Super Bowl. I'm like, no, if I lost 4 Super Bowls in a row, I would be despondent. But yeah, really tough. There was a shot of Josh Allen during the game. It was like precisely when they made that final first down and the game was like officially over. And somebody wrote this. Somebody's just like, he dissociated on the sideline. I was like, fuck. It was like such a brutal shot of him just going, and then he just like stares off into space. He's like,
it's the reaction I have when I hear my daughter talk to her friends on the phone.
Just disassociate.
Stupid language they use. Same thing. Yeah, it's just heartbreak. I mean, let me ask you. He gets the ball through. What is there? 3 minutes to go. They need. What are they down by? Are they down by 4?
It was 3, I think.
3.
Yeah, they're down by 3. Could drive to tie or win the game.
So he has the ball. I'm saying to myself, because he has these comps of John Elway. This is your Elway, the drive in Cleveland moment right here. Here it is.
Yeah.
What was your confidence level that he was going to pull it off? Mine was at an all-time low. I'm like, I want to believe in him, but just something's going to happen, and it's not going to work out.
Unfortunately, I was with you on that one. Did not have a lot of faith that they would pull it off for whatever reason. Maybe it's honestly just the Chiefs have this mystical ability They just like it's like Brady in his heyday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like they are unbeatable at this point. They find ways to win every game. 17 straight games they've won in one score games. They just find ways to pull it out. It's not just Mahomes. It's Chris Jones. It's whoever it may be on their defense. It's their coaching. The fact that they have all this continuity in coaching for the last few years. It's just like they are just a team of destiny or whatever. They're just so good, so hard to beat late in the game, and they pulled it off again. I was not surprised. Obviously, I kind of came into this game not a lot of faith in the Bills. Not anything against the Bills, honestly. Like the Bills are a great team, but just the Chiefs at home, it's really, really tough to beat them.
Yeah, it is. They seem to make just play after play, and it's not just always it's not the headliners all the time. It's not always just Mahomes, although totally. Mahomes just made great plays. The where they never run him and then they run him for a touchdown. The fact that they to have the guts and the trust that team has, right? Andy Reid with Mahomes. To a lot of coaches on that third down play, they would have ran the ball. They just would have. They would have just said, you know what, we'll run the ball. We have faith in our defense.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to take more time off the clock. But they said, F it, man. No, that's not how we operate. We're going to roll out. We're going to throw it to old P. Ryan. I mean, P. Ryan's a great example.
Right.
Just one of those like glue guys that makes an amazing play.
That's a good point, too. It's just like I think a lot of coaches would have opted for being super conservative in that moment, and they just really and this is like just one of a million reasons why it's so good to have a good quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. But like they trusted him to like make that play. They trusted him to be patient enough for the play to set up because it was basically a bunch of crossing routes over the middle that was supposed to jumble up the defense. That's how he got loose. And just trusting him to make that play and get the pass off and don't dirt it or whatever and like let the clock run. Or let the clock stop. And it was just a well executed play. And it's just the kind of thing that it helps to have a guy who's able to execute that play.
All right. So without it now, the game was not without controversy. Okay. I still don't
imagine that.
Still don't know what a catch is.
Yeah.
Do you buy into that they get special treatment from the officials?
I think here's what I'm going to say about that. I think any great quarterback, we see it from many different teams, many different quarterbacks over the years. If you're a great quarterback, you do get marginally better treatment. I think that's something that we've seen over the years, over the decades. It just happens. Yeah. Like for whatever reason, it's a human thing. These top quarterbacks, Tom Brady got preferential treatment. All the great quarterbacks over the years have gotten this type of thing. Peyton Manning, where they just get it's a marginal advantage, it's a marginal edge, and it does happen. But that being said, like the whole idea of like the NFL being rigged, I think is ludicrous. Like, come on, like just people go out and touch grass. Like, stop, please stop with this. Like, it's rigged for the Chiefs. Like the quarterback will get more calls than the average guy. But that's just, I think that's more like a human nature thing, not like the NFL has an edict from on top to like give the Chiefs all these calls to get them back to the Super Bowl.
But you
did they have an edict from up top that freaking the tight end was supposed to drop that pass? Maybe. And he did it, okay, maybe I don't know. How deep does it go?
Hey, Kincaid, if you want to survive, you'll drop that pass.
Like, come on.
But I love all the memes that come out though.
I mean,
I love all the memes that came out the night before the day of the game of Mahomes having dinner with the officials, or like the phone calls, like the ones with like Goodell with the phone. Yeah, we're gonna mark that short. I love. All that
play. Like, look, those plays are questionable, but you know what? Refs F up plays every game, literally every single game. There is just like a monumental F up.
Don't you laugh though at a league that is 57.7 million people watch? It's a $1 billion industry. It's the most popular sport in the United States by far and away. Blows everything out of the water, right? They could play a game at 1 a.m. on a Tuesday, and they would get better numbers
than the World
NBA, the World Series, anything. It doesn't matter what time they play. Yet they have these fat officials still running around out there who are old.
8-year-old man running down the sideline.
They still use a chain crew. Like, what are we doing?
I mean, you're preaching to the choir. I've been saying this for years. The Chain Gang is the most like ridiculous like charade I've ever seen. It's just so ridiculous.
They owe, like, is it Goodell and Tagliabue? Is it like a family, and like you pass the torch to these people and they get grandfathered into these? I mean, we've got technology in soccer, in tennis, where they've got, I don't know if that was in. Oh, let's go to the video replay at the Australian Open. Oh, that ball was out. Like, we can't do that. And I don't think tennis is $1 billion industry.
Here's the thing about the NFL. People are obsessed with it. It's massive. It makes so much profit every year. So they don't have to be good. They can make stupid decisions. It's like, they're every year they like make some stupid rule of focus in the offseason. It pisses everybody off all season. Like this, like illegal formation stuff that happened this year. It was just like, no one's asking for this. No one needs this. No one wants this. And yet they do something like this every year. They make the stupidest decisions. Roger Goodell out here making all kinds of crazy ass decisions. But the problem is the NFL just gets more popular every year despite that. So they have no actual like motivation to get better in certain areas. You know what I mean? So
no, you're right.
It's truly like a supply and demand issue. If the league was starting to get like less popular, they're like, people were paying less attention, the TV ratings were going down, maybe they would fix some of this shit, but they don't have any motivation to do it because it's exploding in popularity. It's essentially like if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of thing. And I think there's like actually some people that still like the Chain Gang. I've talked about this so long. People are still like, I don't know. I kind of like the pomp and circumstance. Well,
I will say this. So hold on. Yeah, you know what? And to your point, because I do like one aspect of it. The anticipation, Danny, and drama of when they waddle out on the field
and they do the signal, like the really dramatic
and then the defense and the offense are all right there and they're waiting to pull the chain to see if it's a first down, and then they pull it, and then like the one side, like defense, they freak out that they're short. There is part of that I still do enjoy. I won't lie.
You like that. People like that. It's like freaking, ground. It's like pulling out the groundhog, whether he sees a shadow or not.
Can't we still, can't we still have that if we want to keep that, but then develop some type of technology where there's like a laser line across the field and the chip in the ball that just tells you if they got there or not?
I mean, I think the answer is yes, we could do that. They're moving towards it. I think the technologically speaking, the problem is you could put a chip in the ball, but that doesn't necessarily tell you where exactly he was when his knee came down. I think you have to have you have to have 1 million cameras set up, and it has to be really like uniform across all the different games.
We put chips in the players.
We have chips in their pads. This is where the dots come from.
No, we just put them in the players now. We just inject
inside the players,
inside the actual players.
Okay, now we're talking.
Okay, and then now we just know when their knee is down. And
like how you tip your dog or whatever.
Yeah, and here's the deal. I mean, Elon, whoever's going to come up with it, they're not going to track anything else. It's just whether or not the knee is down.
Right. Well, aren't there chips in the vaccines?
Probably. I feel like there's a chip in the vaccine for me. I haven't felt right. What about you,
Maybe
listeners?
That's because you don't exercise, pal.
I think walking is exercise. Hey, all right. So do we like it? Eagles, Chiefs, good with that?
No, of course not. I mean, it's, you know what? It's what we have. It is a good matchup between two great teams. I will say that. Yeah. It's boring from a point of view that it seems like the same damn teams are in the Super Bowl every year, which is obviously not true, but the Chiefs are. And so it's kind of like a boring, oh God, we're doing this again. But it is a really, really good matchup. The Eagles, I'd say, have probably the best overall roster in the NFL. They have the best depth. The Chiefs have the best quarterback, maybe of all time. And so, yeah, it's a great matchup from a schematic point of view, from a coaching point of view. It's hilarious that Nick Sirianni has like one of the greatest win records of all time. Like
they wanted him fired earlier this season.
Go look at the career win percentage. Sirianni's up there with like Lombardi. He's like, he's like some of the greats, the all-time greats.
He's in the Super Bowl for the second time in 4 years. Yeah. And literally in the first few weeks of the season, they were doing on all the yelling shows about him. I don't know. I think he should be out of a job. He's playing for his job. He's coaching for his job. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Eagles it's been a journey with this Eagles team because last year it was like obviously they collapsed in the second half and their vibes were atrocious. This year coming in, it felt like their vibes were atrocious, and then they just haven't lost since September.
Yeah.
So they're just like a funny team, but yeah, I think it's a good matchup. I just am kind of like bored of these two teams.
I got you. All right. I'm going to ask you what. Before you answer this, I'm going to play something. I want to get your thoughts on who you are most excited about in the coaching cycle for the new coaches that have been hired.
Duval. Duval.
Oh my God. It is so cringy, Danny.
Yeah.
Liam Cohen, the new coach of the Jaguars, getting up there at his press conference yesterday.
Duval.
Oh my God. 1 year. He'll be out in 1 year. So
somebody posted just 0-17 over that.
You know who else had
can I zig where everyone else is zagging?
Hold on. You know who else had a terrible press conference? Terrible.
Nick Sirianni, one of the greatest, most winningest coach of all time.
It was awful. You remember how bad he was? He stumbled all over himself. You're like, people are like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, new market efficiency is just having a terrible press conference.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Although that doesn't work every time. What's his name from the Jets? I don't know why I can never remember this guy's name. Gase,
Jets.
Adam Gase.
Adam Gase. Oh, Bug-Eye Gase.
Yeah, Bug-Eye Gase. That one, I think that was less awkward. I think we just realized he's a weirdo.
What was the porn star with the 49ers? Tom Sula?
Jim Tom Sula.
Yeah, that was a bad one.
Ooh, yeah. His were just like, I can't watch this. I literally can't watch.
So who are you most excited for? Or who thinks the best one of all?
In my heart, I immediately am a fan of the Raiders. Like, I can't wait to see what Pete does in Las Vegas. It's like, honestly, now that the Raiders feel like my team, it's like a vestigial team or something where I'm just like, he's like, they feel like part of my body somehow, even though they're not there. But so I'm very excited to see what he's going to do. I think I'm going to follow that very closely. I feel like I'm just going to like sort of by extension become a Raiders fan. But from a football point of view, Ben Johnson with the Bears is super exciting. Yeah. Just obviously he chose that team because he thinks he can run his offense and run a really good offense with Caleb Williams, and kind of just like how they overhaul that, how are they going to get the Bears out of this funk that they've been in for so long. I just can't wait to watch that. I think he's a really, really smart guy. And yeah, at the end of the day, sometimes that's like the biggest thing is just like, how are they going to design it? How are they going to, accentuate Caleb Williams' strengths and try and eliminate some of his issues, especially like the sacks thing? How are they going to cut down on sacks? I'm super excited to watch that from a schematic and narrative point of view. It's just gonna be fun.
Hey, speaking of coaches that got hired here recently, we've got another edition of Hey, what are they really saying? This comes from Brian Schottenheimer.
Brian Schottenheimer, and I'm what you get when you order a head coach on Wish. I am the Temu of NFL coaches. I'm ready to do my part here and be the scapegoat when things inevitably crash and burn. A lot of Cowboys fans wanted Deion Sanders as the head coach, but I'm just as good. If Deion is the NBA, then I'm like that new women's basketball league that looks like it's being played during COVID. I can't wait to see what kind of game plan Jerry comes up with. Jerry's been sitting here giving me backhanded compliments this whole press conference. But that's why I'm the Cowboys head coach. I keep my mouth shut and just let Jerry roast my ass. Steven's smartest hooker is really good at managing the cap. We've been using her methods for years, and it's my job to keep it that way. Just like I played second fiddle as a backup to Danny Werfel, I'm ready to play second fiddle to Jerry. Actually, I think I'm more like the fifth fiddle behind Jerry's Asian masseuse and all his illegitimate children in Waco.
God, dude.
That is what they were saying. That's courtesy of DNP Sports, DNP Sports Burner on Twitter. Go follow them. Sports and comedy. They just do a great job. Parody videos. And you can
that's parody.
Them.
That wasn't real.
Yeah, that wasn't real. But that's what they really were saying, Dan.
Yeah. If you read between the lines,
how about that, Brian Schottenheimer? I mean,
man, Jerry, he's
Just take away his
bordering-
team.
He's getting up there in senility. What is the word? Senile.
Senile. You know.
Senility.
Yes, I'll go with that.
He's just like insulting the head coach while they're doing this press conference. It's like wild to watch. Imagine being this man's child.
Schottenheimer, we're taking our. I love his little tagline because they're going to use it. We're taking our shot with Shotty. Jesus.
Oh man, where was Shotty? I don't even know where's he been these last few years.
Was it 2 years ago? He was the coordinator there. When was he the coordinator there? Was it a long time ago? I honestly don't know.
Saying. How did he become a head coach?
I don't know, man. It's because he's going to hire Witten, right? That's the story. He's going to hire Witten
after like a little bit here,
and then he's gonna groom Witten to be the coach in a couple of years. Just so bad.
Shotty's been the OC there for 2 years. He was a coaching analyst before that.
Yeah. I
honestly
he took over for Kellen Moore.
I could barely remember that.
Well, he didn't call the plays, right? Because McCarthy called them.
Internal hire, which honestly, that's news to me. I had completely forgotten.
Yeah.
But yeah, good hire. The head coach of the Cowboys. This is like what my co-host at the Ringer Fantasy Football Show, good plug, always says is the head coach of the Cowboys is just Jerry's pain sponge. He's just there to soak up everything that Jerry wants to pass down. You can't be like, you can't have your own ideas. You can't have, you can't have your own direction. You want to take these things because you're not doing anything. You're a figurehead, more or less.
Give me the. I want to ask you because people don't know you do the not only the fantasy football show, and in the next few weeks when we visit here, we'll get more just kind of a deep dive into the draft. Give me the strength of this year's draft, Danny. I asked you this last week, but remind me, what is the strength of this group?
I would say defensive line is pretty strong in this class. I think you got a chance with the edge rusher Abdul Carter from Penn State to be the top overall pick. He's super explosive. I think after him, there's a 5 or 6 guys from defensive tackle to edge that I really like in this class, and I think the depth there is really solid. There's basically just a lot of guys that could come in and be a big part of the pass rush rotation early on. There's some interesting tight ends in this class. I really like the tight end class. I think there's some solid guys at tackle and guard. So offensive line, I don't think there's any blue chippers in this class, but there's some really solid early on starters. Running backs are big. Yeah. This is one of the, I think I've heard some people say this is like the best running back class in a decade, which I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but I think it's definitely up there. Some really good players at the running back spot. Running's back in vogue. So you can see guys go a little bit higher than normally we do. So yeah, I'd say those are kind of like the 3 positions. There's a handful of good receivers, but it's not a strong receiver class. I would say defense. It's a trenches. It's a meat and potatoes class. Offensive guard, offensive tackle, defensive tackle, edge. I like those positions in particular.
Last thing, we've got to do it every week before you sign off. We got to put somebody on the barge. That's right, the barge. I mean,
Who do you like for this?
Huh?
Who do you like for this?
Duval.
That's who I'm putting on the barge. I just can't get enough of this guy.
Duval.
Do you think what he did was really underhanded and shady? I was the only person who was the whole situation where he withdrew his name and then they fired the GM and then they're and then he was okay, sure, maybe I'll do it. To me, that was just logical. They fired the GM, which was the reason he didn't want to go there. And then he, in doing so, basically reopened the negotiations with this guy, Liam Cohen. And I don't know. I never felt like any of it was all that underhanded or weird. I guess maybe the specific way that he did it, where he was not really talking to the team.
They ignored their phone calls and texts
and said something about his son being in the hospital, which I don't know if that's true or not.
I
just read that online. That might not even be true.
Well, have you read it online? It's accurate.
They vet all this stuff, right? You can't say anything online.
Yeah, no, you can't. You can't. You just can't say whatever you want.
But anyways, I thought it was fine. But that's a tough soundbite. But you know what? Ultimately, it's gonna go well because the weirder you get in these press conferences, generally speaking, maybe it's better.
So weird. But like we said earlier, Danny, Nick Sirianni had the worst press conference ever. Like, it was awful, and he turned out to be a good head coach. All right, next week we'll break down the Super Bowl. We're gonna get Danny's 19 keys to the Super Bowl coming up next week on the Thursday show. All right,
sounds great.
All right, see you, Danny.
Writing. All right, see you.
Danny Kelly from The Ringer. You can follow Danny on Twitter, Danny B. Kelly, also on Blue Sky, senior staff writer, Ringer Fantasy Football Show, Ringer NFL Draft Show, our weekly appearance talking all things NFL, brought to you by Georgetown Brewery, GeorgetownBeer.com. Full episode, along with the Daily Puck Drop, will be up on YouTube later, also on Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts, and, of course, PuckSports.com.